In 1927, the Gaithersburg-Washington Grove Volunteer Fire Department was chartered. It was an all-volunteer operation back then. Whenever there was a fire, men would drop everything to help protect their community. In 1930, the two-stall metal shed was replaced by a brick structure, which is part of the building that still exists today. For years, this station served the entire up-county area. Today, the building houses the Gaithersburg Fire Museum, which is designed to inform everyone from the old-timer to the new resident about Gaithersburg's firefighting history. There are photos, videos, firefighting gear, and knickknacks. The centerpiece of the museum is a 1941 Diamond T pumper, which was actually in service here in Gaithersburg until 1955. It had been sold to a private collector, but the museum reacquired it and spent 10 years restoring it to what you see today. Gary Walker is the museum's director. He began volunteering here in 1964. There is a long tradition of firefighting in his family.
The first chief of this department under the charter was Merle Jacobs. Merle was my great-uncle. And my father was a member here in the 40s, early 50s. I had two uncles that were members here.
Volunteer fire departments had to raise operating money. There was equipment to buy and maintain. While some funds came from the state, it was not nearly enough.
To supplement that, there was a lot of activities. And back in the 30s, we actually had a 6-lane bowling alley that was installed in the basement of this building to raise funds for the department. I found references to beauty pageants. We had an auxiliary, and the auxiliary put on musicals in the 30s, and they also hosted dinners. Dinners were a big community function, and people would support it, and that we raised funds that way.
But probably the most significant fundraising activity was Gaithersburg's annual Labor Day Parade. Fire departments from all over the state came to participate. The day began with a parade through town. Thousands of spectators lined the streets. The parade ended at the county's fairgrounds, where the fire departments competed in contests. Trophies were awarded, food was sold, and this was a significant source of income. The tradition began in 1938 and continued for 3 decades. As the years passed, the town grew, and the fire department worked hard to keep pace. Rescue services were added to the operation. In 1938, Pumphrey's Funeral Home donated a Studebaker ambulance, similar to this one. During World War II, the station served as a civil defense office, helping with homeland security. In 1952, the department experienced its only fatality. A truck on its way to a brush fire was broadsided by a car. 2 firemen were pinned underneath. One died 6 days later. From 1953 until 1973, Byron Miller served as the department chief. This was a period of many changes. In 1958, the station itself burned due to an electrical fire. The building was saved, but suffered some damage. The firemen saw this as an opportunity to expand their station, and this 2-bay enlarged garage was added. They simply needed extra space.
As time progressed, the pumpers were larger, they held more water. We needed more water because we had, instead of just houses, we had apartments in Gaithersburg and so forth, so we needed the extra equipment on the trucks plus the extra water to perform the firefighting function.
Through this time period, the Gaithersburg-Washington Grove Fire Department responded to about 1 call a day, which was manageable for the volunteers. But in the 1960s, things began to change.
And as the community grew, the call load grew. And it became more difficult to take that much time off of work. So it took more time to get out, and the response time was just not what it should be. So in 1967, the board of directors here decided to hire 4 career folks to work 9 to 5, Monday through Friday. The first officer was Frank Wright, and Frank has donated his helmet to the museum as part of our collection.
Since then, the call load continued to rise. More career firefighters were added, as well as an additional station on Muncaster Mill Road. In 1978, the Gaithersburg-Washington Grove Fire Department had outgrown its original home, and they moved to Montgomery Village Avenue. Today, they are able to respond to more than 10,000 calls per year. Volunteers are still involved, but it's not the same. Gary Walker remembers the old days.
Once you became a member, there was a camaraderie that was built. It's hard to describe to somebody outside, but that camaraderie just grew. We fought fires together, we trained together, we socialized together, and there was just some magnificent, dedicated people in this department. That's what kept me going after joining in 1964.